Hello, I'm Ms. Mansouri from 118T. So far, you've got a lesson on using the thickness planer and the jointer to prepare your wood for the projects you're making. In those videos, I've talked about the fact that we're located in a smaller shop designed for middle school about 60 years ago. So the equipment we're using are rather small, and the processes we take to do something is the ways we figured out what to do is related to the size of the machines we have. So I've taught you that if you're using a planer or want to prepare your wood, you plane both sides and then you go to the jointer. I've also mentioned on those videos that that's not necessarily the only way, and it's actually not the primary way of doing it. We're doing it because of the size of our material, so I'm going to make sure that you know the I won't say necessarily proper, but I would say the most common way of doing preparing the wood in the industry. If you go to work in a bigger shop, if you go to college, university, which they have bigger shops, so you know how things are really done based on the size. So here's the thing, and I won't be actually doing anything really because I can't. If I could, I've done it from the beginning. It's just our equipment would allow it. So when you have a piece of wood like this is a nice piece of maple, and maple is a hard wood. It's kind of whitish in color. We buy soft maple, and soft maple is actually quite hard. Hard maple is much harder. I don't buy a lot of hard maple, just a little bit for particular uses. All right, so if you need to prepare this wood, it's rough from the factory, from the lumber factory. You can see there are warps on it. It's not flat, it's not parallel, the thickness is not even, and the top part is rough. So based on what I've taught you before, you would think that, okay, we put it in a planer to get both sides flat. And I remember mentioning to you guys in those videos that if the wood is really warped, you keep going and going, you're going to end up have nothing, because the idea is the planer is not only smoothing the sides, it's going to give you parallel or even thickness. Remember that. And in order to achieve an even thickness, you need one side to be flat to begin with, and then you do the other side to match the other one. And if you have neither of them relatively flat, then you'll be planing for a very long time, and you might end up having nothing at the end. So how is this addressed really? Two things. With a bigger jointer, this is how it is. We start with a jointer, with a wider jointer, which allow this piece of wood to go in. And what if I don't have a bigger jointer and I need to do this? Well, there are ways of doing this with our planer, but you have to look at the problem. What's the problem? The problem is that I don't have a flat surface to begin with. And that means that I have to find a way to use this piece of wood or put this piece of wood in the thickness planer in a way that it resembles it being flat, meaning that I have to actually add something to it or solve that problem. So I'm not going to go there. I want you to think about it, and we've done this here as well. Just want you to think about it, and if need be, we'll talk about it. All right, so here is a jointer, and I want you to see why this is not possible. So in a different shop, designed for or anyway, a different setup shop, the jointer would be actually quite wide. So we have a very narrow jointer here. The jointers will have a table about this big, and sometimes even bigger, meaning a foot or a foot bigger. And the roller also extends all the way here. And that means that what you do first, before you do anything, you put your piece of wood flat on the table of the jointer, and you're going to pass this through here to get one side flat. Now, you remember in the jointer video, I told you I don't want any fingers lower than that, and that is contradicting what I told you. That means that, no, it's not really, is that you're not going to use your fingers, you're going to use push sticks. So you can use ready-made push sticks, which have big handles, and you can use them, and you've seen them in the shop here, or some shops, they actually make their own handheld shop-made push sticks, which means that the wood is being guided through here with the push stick, not with your finger, flat on the table. And you might do this several rounds till you get one side of this flat, and then you move on to the thickness planer over here, putting that flat side inside on the table and then shaving off the top. Now, I'm thinking that this is now making sense. You say, oh yeah, that makes sense. The side is flat. I put that in the planer. There's a roller on top and it's going to shave off the top of the wood and it's going to give me a flat piece. Then I can come back to the jointer and put my flat piece beside the fence and joint the edges. So I want you to know that. So you know how things are really done, or would be most commonly done, provided that you have a wide jointer. And I repeat, the reason we don't do that is that we don't have a wide jointer. That means that if you're doing a thinner piece of wood, you actually have the possibility of going to the jointer first, then moving on to the thickness planer. All right, I hope you find this helpful, and till next time, thank you so much.